Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Gallagher Shot YouTube channel and podcast. And it is myself, Chris, joined by Dagger today. And we are going to be doing a quick rundown of two Newcastle United players today and two Newcastle United players who have impressed since the start of the season. Who do you think it's going to be, Dagger?
Alan St. Maxim.
Imagine. How's he getting on?
He's doing all right from what I've seen. I've seen some highlights and I've watched them on Instagram a little bit. That wasn't scripted either, by the way. He's been doing all right. He's been doing kind of,
Back to our lads.
I'm sorry.
Back to our lads. Actually, I've got a Maxi story, but I'll say this for the podcast.
Okay.
So go and watch Overspan and Facebook podcast as well. So the two Newcastle United players that we're going to talk about today are Sandro Tonali and Anthony Gordon. Who would you like to start with first?
Tonali.
Right. So what's your thoughts on Tonali since his arrival? Because I know he has came with quite a big reputation, but not that reputation of an elite player. I think obviously, well, we know he's a young lad, and the Premier League being a very tough league to play in. 3 games now, starting every single one of them. Got a fair chunk out of every single one of those games as well. What's your thoughts, first of all, on how he's embedded himself amongst the team?
Well, firstly, what I'll say is I think he's had an incredibly tough introduction to the Premier League because he's had 3 incredibly tough teams right now.
Baptism of fire
for all of it. I know Villa, I understand the result was very good, but still a very good side. And of course, Man City, probably the best team there is. And then you've got Liverpool, as obviously we've just seen. I'm very, very impressed. He's slightly different to the player that I was expecting, which I'll come on to. But I think his energy is something that's really impressive, and you can see him literally charging around the field, trying to break up play, incredibly aggressive.
Which we mentioned when we first signed him, that obviously what we got from Longstaff last season was covering that area on the field.
Yeah.
And we were not worried about if Tonali could do that, but thinking, can he do it as well as what Longstaff does? And he's doing it just as good as what Sean did last season.
100%, because I think this is no slight on anybody, but I think when you do sign a foreign player from a different league, you do not question, but you worry about have they got the work rate?
Yeah,
and I think I do want to reference, and it's just because it's fresh in my mind here, but I do want to reference yesterday's game of just how frantic the pace was in that game. I mean, it was absolutely. I don't know if it's because of the way I was sitting. I was sitting in a different seat yesterday, and like, the sheer speed of the game was frightening at times, especially in the middle. And you have to be so aware all of the time. And he really was yesterday. I noticed it wasn't just he's charging around and being able to break up play, but how fast he is on the ball, being able to receive it, but also give it within a matter of seconds. And you've got to be a top quality player to do that.
It's crucial. And as we saw in that Liverpool game, one mistake in that midfield, it can cripple you. It gives opposition a chance. I think that's what you're getting from Tonali. If there is a mistake, he seems to be the first one to try and recover that ball.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think when you think certain times if a defender does a mistake like that, a bad pass as a defender, it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
I find that when you play really good sides like Liverpool, they're so high up the field. Even if a midfielder does a bad pass, which unfortunately we've seen on Sunday, it's going to cost you. I think. Well, actually, what's your thoughts on him then? So obviously, I've said I'm being surprised how much his work rate's been.
Yep.
He's obviously quality on the ball. What's your thoughts on
him? Similar to when Bruno arrived. Bruno arrived and he had such a great impact on that starting 11. I think Tonali's done exactly the same. I can't remember the team without him in it. It just seems like he's played alongside those lads for God knows how long. And when I know obviously Bruno's had a difficult start, I would say to this campaign. Hopefully that'll change. But I think that midfield of Joelinton, Tonali, and Bruno is a top-notch midfield, and Tonali's the one that just takes that to the next level compared to what it was last season. And I think we're probably going to see the best from Tonali in the Champions League games. Because I think that's when his experience will start to show. Because I know obviously it is two defeats and a victory at the start of the season, which like you said, is a very, very difficult start for Tonali, any player coming into the Premier League. But I don't think he's done anything wrong or stepped out of line in those games. I think he's probably been the midfielder that's impressed me the most so far.
Yes, I think again, and I'm sorry to repeat myself here, but I think it's because it's fresh in my mind. I mean, if I was going to mention the Liverpool game, but what I will say, that Villa game, from to score the goal that he did,
get another one straight after it.
Yeah, straight after he set up a lovely assist for I think it was Barnes at the time, a lovely give and go. There's no doubt he's going to develop and be incredible. I agree on the European football side of things. I think the reason why is I think it won't be as fast and furious them games. I think they'll be a little bit more sort of slower paced. It's more like a game of chess normally sometimes, sort of European football. But I have been really, really impressed with them. I still think as a team we're finding the balance of them three with him and Bruno, how they work. And I still think
stepping each other's toes at
time, I still find, especially yesterday, there was a few times where I think they're still finding the way, but that's only natural. It's only been 3 games. It is only natural, but I'm very, very excited for what I've seen so far. He looks the real deal, I have to say.
Next up, Anthony Gordon.
Yeah.
Just as impressed with him?
A lot. I mean, a lot. I think I've got a few Everton fans actually that I've met on holidays and stuff, right, over the past years. And
sorry about that.
But no, John's a lovely lad, bless him. He won't be watching this, but he's a lovely lad. But he's an Everton season ticket holder, right, and all the rest of it. And I've known him for years. And when we signed him, he messaged me saying, "What do you think about signing him?" And I says, "Well, to be really honest, the thought that we had of him was a bit of a whinger. He dives a lot, and maybe not much end product." And he said, "Oh, that's exactly what you're getting." Well, I couldn't be further from the truth, really, could it? Right? When you've seen him, I think going back to the first 15 minutes against Villa, he was, I mean, probably one of the best left wingers you'd see in the Premier League in that first 15 minutes. Electric, so fast, dangerous, always gets it at fullback. And I thought, listen, against Man City, it was a different kettle of fish. And I think we all seen that from every player, not just Gordon. But I thought yesterday, I mean, God, he was amazing yesterday. Like every single time he touched the ball, he looked like something was going to happen.
Yeah, and obviously he grabs a goal. Obviously we will, if you haven't watched the All Smile Face podcast and the match reaction, we do touch on this as well. But obviously Gordon he grabs a goal to put us 1-0 in the lead, and obviously it's his through ball that puts Isaac in that position as well, where obviously the free kick, the red card comes from as well. I'm exactly the same way of thinking of you. I think the versatility that he has as well on that left hand side, where he can just drift across the edge of the box. We saw it a couple of times against Liverpool, where he's not scared to cut inside. Similar to what Maxi did, he cuts inside. But I just feel as if that he gets in those positions, and I don't want to be harsh on him right now. I think he needs to work on his shooting boots. Obviously, he grabbed the goal, but I think sometimes when he's one-on-one with keeper, I'm thinking, I'm not confident. I'm not 100% confident. Where if that landed to the likes of Callum Wilson, I'm thinking he's 9 out of 10 times he's going to score this one. Well, maybe I think that will improve over the season.
I think it will. I think if you go back to last season, I think he couldn't buy a goal, but he was getting in the right areas a lot. There was a lot of times where he ran through on goal and perhaps didn't have the composure or whatever it was. The finish against Liverpool was superb.
Yeah, it was great.
And I think what's even more impressive as well, which I loved, was nobody played that ball to him. It wasn't passed through. He physically anticipated the error and was gone. And it was a wonderful finish against a fantastic goalkeeper. So I love how he comes inside. And listen, this is why, and I promise I will stop mentioning, but the reason why I love Maxi so much was because he always wanted to get at the fullback. He always wanted to try and get you off your seat. And I felt like that yesterday when I was watching Gordon. Every time he got the ball, I thought, how he's going to get Trent here. And he did every single time. There was a lovely moment in the second half where he come bursting through, very similar to Mickey actually on the other side on that moment. He did put it wide, but to me, he was the most dangerous player on the pitch. Yeah. And you can't ask for any more than that. Like, you know what I mean? And right, what you've mentioned there, by the way, yes, he scored his goal, but he did when he comes inside, he really can find a pass. Yep. I remember in pre-season, he found, I think it was Almiron, he found who scored yesterday. He played in Isak, who got Van Dijk sent off. So he's been incredible since he stepped in.
You can tell as well. Obviously, we've seen so many interviews with Gordon where he's saying, "I've got a graft now. Like I need to show that I'm worthy of being this starting 11." You can tell Harvey Barnes is breathing down the back of his neck as well, because as soon as his performances drop, there's somebody that's a perfect fit just waiting to come and take his place.
And that's what you need, right? You need competition, you know. And obviously Gordon will be thinking exactly like that, 100%. And I think I think we'll probably touch on this more on More Smiling Faces podcast, but about him being taken off yesterday, I think there was a huge difference when he come off the field. He was playing so well. Also to references off the ball work, I remember it was the Villa game where someone burst, I'm sure it was Villa, burst through, and he sprinted the full length of the field to intercept that ball or try and make a difference. And I think the future is incredibly bright for him. Like, and I think you can tell, I've said this many times, he's an Eddie Howe player. You can see it right on and off the ball.
Can mold him into the player that you want.
100%. And the signs over him over the first 3 games have been incredible, to be honest. Maybe even better than I thought. I think we all thought having a pre-season in him, he impressed in the Euros with England, and he's really hit the ground running this season so far. So long may it continue.
Fingers crossed. Thanks everybody for joining us for this one, whether you are watching or listening to the audio. If you're doing either of those, just do what needs to be done on whatever platform. Like the video, become a subscriber on YouTube, or if you're listening to the audio, just give us a 5-star rating as well. It helps us out massively going forward and getting across this sort of content to more Newcastle United fans. Me and Dave, I will see you on the Horseman Faces podcast, and we'll see you next time. Hurrah.